I want to give an example of the difference between making a decision in a life economy and making a decision in a death economy. Forgive me for the impromptuness of this message, but it just kind of came to me, and instead of waiting around and deciding someday I'll make a video, I decided to just make one. So, making a decision in a life economy and making a decision in a death economy. We live in a death economy. In other words, we live in an economy that would rather see people die than lose a profit. That would rather see people starving, that would rather see people not getting an education, not having food or clothing or shelter, than lose a profit. We live in an economy where profit is king and where corporations aren't encouraged to think about the other impacts that they could have on our society. We are taught that money and capital will ultimately settle the score, will settle the differences, and bring out the most victorious on top. And that is actually true. But it's true in two different frameworks. You can have it in a death economy, where we decide that the priority is to be placed on profit, and that a successful company, the definition of successful, the definition of a well-off corporation, means they have the most profit. In order for us to switch to a life economy, we need to change the framework in which we allow capitalism to exist. Instead of a death framework, we want a life framework. We want the definition of success to not just include profit. We want it to include the happiness of your employees or the citizens of your country. We want to include the environment. We want to include all of the things like free time and space to be creative, all of those things that don't necessarily equate to profit or have a direct relationship to profit. We want all of those things to be incorporated into what makes up a corporation. So let me talk about the difference between a decision made in a death structure and a decision made in a life structure. Say you've got a water filtration product that you use, or that you produce, that your company produces. And this water filtration product goes on a sink, and when the person turns on the sink, a little light blinks that shows that you're using the water filtration device, and when you turn off the sink, the light stops blinking. And after a period of time, the light turns orange and then red to let you know, hey, it's time to replace your water filtration device or you might get sick. Now, a corporation living in a death economy says to itself, I don't need to be very accurate about that light. I can just say, count every single time that the filtration device gets turned on, and then after a certain number of times it gets turned on or off, then we encourage them to go buy a new filter. This kind of seems to make sense, but in a life economy, the corporation says to itself, I need to be as accurate as possible so that my customer can get the most out of that filter as possible. So not only am I going to measure how many times it goes on and off, I'm going to measure the duration that it's on and off so that I can be sure to protect their safety, so that maybe if they just turn it on one time and then they leave it on for a long while, that I don't count that as just a quick turn off and on, that I make sure that they're safe. And also, I'll save them money, because what if they're turning it on a lot, but they're only using a tiny bit of water each time, and suddenly they're reaching that threshold too fast, and now they have to go out and spend their money and buy another filter. Well, I don't want them to have to do that. You're thinking about the well-being, the financial overall well-being of your customer, not just how you can get the quick buck by making them replace their filters sooner. And lastly, you're thinking about the environment. You're not putting as much waste in the world because people aren't replacing the filters frivolously. So that's the difference. It's a company thinking about not just how quickly and efficiently and easily can I produce this. Sure, it's easier to just have the filter tell you when it goes on and off. Sure it is. But is it right? Probably not. Could you do better? Sure. And by doing better, it opens up us to opportunity. Because now the definition of success isn't just profit. It's convenience. It's humanity. It's society. And you and your employees will start thinking in a different way. And I encourage everyone to, in any way they can, contribute to a life economy. instead of a death economy.